I know Lebanon enough to know it's been a nasty place, and it wasn't always a nasty place.
Right.
It is a country where Hezbollah is the elected political party.
Yep.
And that was incredible to see the legitimacy of a terrorist organization take the political office of a country. So that's about the extent to which I am familiar with Lebanon.
So they're interesting to me because there's a lot of different religious demographics in Lebanon, and it's like 24 to 30% Christian, and then I believe it's 27%, I want to say Sunni Muslim, 21% Shia Muslim, and then the non-Christian and non-Muslim religions, there's like some esoteric Middle Eastern religions that people haven't heard of and stuff. But meaning it's not this one block kind of place like we talk about in Iran or something else. But to your point, Hezbollah, which is called a terrorist organization by many people across the world, and I agree with that one because of the way they finance themselves and who finances them. I totally agree with that. But like they have the two wings. They got the military wing and they have the political wing. And the political wing controls, as you said, a lot of the seats in their Congress. And this rose up, I guess, after like the 82 crisis or whatever in Lebanon. But like, is part of it still like there's disputed land on the border of Israel that Lebanon thinks is theirs, and Hezbollah is seizing on that as a part of their like political platform?
I don't know the answer to that. Like, I don't know the answer to how much of the explanation of the conflict with Israel, between Lebanon and Israel, is land disputes.
Okay.
Whatever it is that they do use to explain their assaults, it's just an excuse, because in reality, Israel's the largest threat in the region to Hezbollah's goals, to Iran's goals, even the Sunni countries, because prior to the Abraham Accords, none of the Sunni countries recognized Israel. The first Sunni country to recognize Israel was, I think it was Bahrain, and I think it was 2019. 2019? Think about that, man. That's 5 years ago. The first Sunni country recognized diplomatically Israel. Israel's been around since the end of the world.
71 years before that. Yeah.
So, like they've been surrounded by enemies for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're talking a bit about, what you deem to be a terrorist, and is it really a terrorist group or isn't it a terrorist group? The policy of it is one thing. There is a very clear definition. There's a very clear definition of terrorism, and that definition has to do with seeking political goals through the act of violence that's designed to cause fear, right? The problem is that recipe can be interpreted a lot of different ways, right? What is it when a U.S. aircraft carrier goes into the Red Sea to launch rockets on a Houthi rebel base? What is that? Is that not an act of force to cause violence to change policy? And that's the argument that the world is making about the United States, or more correctly, that is simply the window that the world is watching through when they see the moves that the United States makes. And it's nasty because from our perspective, we're fighting extremism. From the rest of the world's perspective, we're the extremist.
That's right.
It's tough. It's a sticky situation, and it's one that is leading to so much of the conflict that we have right now, because whoever takes office in 2024 is taking office in a country that is losing influence, struggling with economic uncertainty, has to manage conflicts in Europe and the Middle East.
Right.
The Middle Eastern conflict is escalating. We don't know what Iran's going to do next, but they're going to do something next. They're not just going to let it sit that Israel launched rockets into Tehran. That can't just sit. But do we see a response in 7 days or 70 days or 7 months, right? And one of the two people running for president right now may be the president when that response actually happens. Not to mention, whoever's in office next is very likely going to be the person who sees what happens in Europe next between Ukraine and Russia.
Yes, we'll come to that too, for sure. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess.